Welcome back to my channel. You are not going to believe the madness that's unfolding behind the walls of Coyote Pass. What began as a simple land dispute has spiraled into something out of a cult documentary, a twisted blend of ego, prophecy, and spiritual gaslighting so bizarre, it's almost unbelievable. Kody and Robyn Brown aren't just fighting for property anymore. They're fighting for divine ownership. Robyn now claims she is the heavenly heir to Coyote Pass, a chosen steward of the land. And Kody? He's demanding the rest of the family honor her so-called ancestral birthright. This isn't a family disagreement. This is a full-blown spiritual power grab, a crisis of faith orchestrated to seize control, not just of land, but of legacy, identity, and destiny. Today, we're uncovering the spiritual gaslighting of Coyote Pass, a saga so audacious, so manipulative, it redefines delusion itself. But before we begin, if you've been following this chaotic descent as closely as we have, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Because what you're about to hear is something even TLC couldn't script. Let's go back, way back, to where this delusion began. This wasn't sudden. It's been brewing for years. We've all watched Kody's slow transformation from quirky patriarch to self-proclaimed prophet. The laughter, the family dinners, the chaos, all gone. In their place, a man drunk on his own authority. Every season, his tone hardened. The fun-loving father disappeared. What remained was a preacher of control. "I'm the head of this family," he'd roar. "I demand respect." But in hindsight, those weren't just angry outbursts. They were rehearsals, the early chapters of a kingdom he was already building in his mind. And right beside his throne stood Robyn, not just his favorite wife, but his oracle, the seer whispering divine validation into his ear. She began small, a feeling, a prompting from God that they should move to Flagstaff. Then a vision of a grand unified home, conveniently centered around her and her children. Robyn learned early that if she spoke her desires as divine messages, Kody would follow. Every wish she had, she baptized in spirituality. She didn't want the biggest lot. Heaven needed her to have it. She didn't ask for more time with Kody. The Spirit told her it was necessary for her children's well-being. This is where the gaslighting began, a subtle, masterful rebranding of selfishness as sacrifice. And Kody, lost in his own delusions of grandeur, took the bait. If Robyn was a prophetess, he was her chosen patriarch, the enforcer of her prophecies. Together, they created an echo chamber of divine entitlement, a two-person cult disguised as a marriage. And then the unthinkable happened. Their fantasy found paperwork. Sources close to the family revealed that Robyn recently commissioned a $25,000 genealogical report, not from a history site, but from a private Utah firm that specializes in crafting celestial pedigrees for the spiritually elite. That's right. While Janelle was living in an RV, while Kody cried broke, while the family struggled to pay off Coyote Pass, Robyn dropped $25,000 to buy herself a bloodline. This wasn't genealogy. This was mythology for sale. A leather-bound, gold-embossed relic of delusion designed to elevate Robyn from a fourth wife to a divine queen. It wasn't research. It was rewriting reality. Apparently, for the low price of $25,000, you won't believe what you're about to hear, because this isn't just a family feud anymore. This is spiritual warfare disguised as genealogy. Apparently, for the low price of $25,000, you too can purchase a conveniently lost prophet ancestor, one who, miraculously, just so happened to own the exact piece of land your family's fighting over. It's miraculous, right? Why didn't my mom think of that? Maybe she could have discovered she's descended from the guy who invented property law. That would have come in handy. The laughter faded. Gwen's face hardened. Her voice, once dripping with sarcasm, turned into steel. "Let's be absolutely clear about what this is," she said. "This is the most disgusting, manipulative, spiritually abusive stunt I've ever seen." Her words cut through the noise like a blade. My father and Robyn are using religion as a weapon. They've crafted a fake divine narrative to psychologically bully Janelle out of her legal and financial rights. They're telling her that building her dream home, the home she's fought for, is a spiritual trespass. They're weaponizing God to steal from her. Her voice shook, not from fear, but from fury. "It's not just insane," Gwen declared. "It's evil." For 20 straight minutes, she dismantled her father's delusion piece by piece, exposing the absurdity of Robyn's celestial deed, mocking the idea of divine land rights, and standing in open, fierce solidarity with Janelle. And when she finished, Her final words hit like a war cry. Don't let them get away with this. The court of public opinion matters. This isn't about faith, it's about fraud. It's a con artist and her enabler trying to pull off the ultimate heist. Janelle is a fighter, and she has an army behind her. This isn't the promised land, Kody. It's a crime scene. The internet exploded. Fans rallied. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. But then, something even more shocking happened. While Gwen brought the fire and fury, Mykelti, ever the awkward diplomat of the family, brought confirmation. On her podcast with Tony, Mykelti tried to laugh it off, nervously, cautiously, but the truth slipped through anyway. So, yeah, she began, fidgeting. There's a lot of talk about this family history thing, and, it's true. Robyn did get this really expensive, like $25,000 family history book made. It's this huge leather thing, actually really beautiful aesthetically. Tony, always eager to smooth things over, chimed in, "Yeah, the craftsmanship is incredible." But Mykelti shot him a look, the kind of look that says this isn't about craftsmanship. Right, she continued quietly. So the book connects Robyn to the founder of a small pioneer settlement near Flagstaff. It's a pretty wild story. And Dad is really, really into it. He sees it as this huge spiritual confirmation for why they're supposed to be in Flagstaff. Her tone was hesitant, careful, like she was walking a tightrope between truth and loyalty. He's saying now that the family's covenant, and that's his word, can only be fulfilled if Robyn is the steward of the land. He believes her bloodline gives her divine responsibility for Coyote Pass. You could hear the discomfort in her voice, the struggle to make sense of something senseless. A viewer in the live chat asked the question everyone wanted to know. Is Kody trying to push Janelle out? Mykelti froze. Her smile collapsed. I don't think he thinks of it as pushing Janelle out, she whispered. In his mind, he's asking her to align with a higher purpose. He wants her to willingly give up her claim, for the family's eternal salvation. He thinks that by holding on to her lot, she's blocking a blessing for the whole family. Her words trailed off. It's really complicated, she sighed. Dad is in a very spiritual place right now. And just like that, her reluctant confession became more powerful than Gwen's rage. Because Mykelti wasn't mocking him. She was reporting from inside the delusion. She confirmed everything. The book, the cost, the ancestor, and Kody's fanatical belief that Robyn's bloodline was divine proof. What Gwen had framed as insanity, Mykelti quietly exposed as reality. And then came the smoking gun. A leaked email allegedly sent from Kody's personal account to all the adult children surfaced online, first appearing on a prominent Sister Wives blog, reportedly from an exhausted insider who had finally had enough. The subject line read, "A sacred stewardship and a call to covenant." The email itself was classic Kody Brown, a cocktail of corporate jargon and self-proclaimed prophecy. "My dear children," it began, "it is with great reverence and prayerful consideration that I write to you today. As many of you now know, our family has been blessed with a profound spiritual revelation concerning the divine nature of our land at Coyote Pass. Through inspired research, we have learned that this property is not merely real estate, but part of Robyn's ancestral stewardship, consecrated by her prophetic forefather Jedediah Calloway over a century ago. It was all there in black and white, the delusion codified, the manipulation documented, the fraud spiritualized. This wasn't just a wild theory anymore. It was written proof, a paper trail of madness. And buckle up, because what you're about to hear might be the most shocking and delusional twist yet in the Sister Wives universe. The leaked email from Kody Brown wasn't just a message. It was a manifesto, a written declaration of spiritual manipulation, signed, sealed, and delivered by the self-appointed prophet of Coyote Pass himself. It began with grandiosity. "This knowledge changes everything," Kody wrote. "It elevates our purpose and clarifies our path forward. Our family's eternal covenant is now intrinsically linked to honoring this sacred trust." He went on to condemn Janelle's perfectly reasonable building plans as secular distractions, calling her dreams of a home, her tiny house, her independence, out of harmony with God's will. He claimed this wasn't a judgment of her character, but a recognition of a higher calling for the land itself. And then came the line that made jaws drop across the fandom. "Pray that Janelle's heart will be softened, that she will understand the honor of yielding her earthly claims to support Robyn's divine role as the land's celestial steward." The email closed with a final chilling flourish. "With paternal love and authority, Kody Brown." That sign-off, with paternal love and authority, was the final twist of the knife. It was love as leverage, affection as control. The words of a man who believes that manipulation is fatherly guidance. This email wasn't just proof of delusion, it was documentation of gaslighting. Kody used language like reverence, sacred, and covenant to mask what was, in plain terms, theft wrapped in theology. He positioned Robyn as a divine queen and Janelle as a spiritual trespasser, framing greed as grace and betrayal as destiny. This email is Kody Brown, in his own words, laying out the blueprint for his holy land grab and handing Janelle every ounce of evidence she needs to bring him down. For weeks, Kody and Robyn have lived inside their own myth. They truly believe their spiritual storyline makes them untouchable, that divine right places them above the law, above contracts, above common sense. But they have made a fatal mistake. In trying to rewrite scripture, they have written their own legal downfall. Because here's the truth. Janelle isn't playing on their battlefield of visions and prophecy. She's playing in the real world, the world of lawyers, ledgers, and legal precedent. And in that world, Kody's divine decree isn't a revelation. It's a liability. Janelle now possesses a mountain of hard proof. Text messages. A leaked email. The testimonies of Gwen and Mike Kelty, both confirming timelines and details. And financial records showing a $25,000 payment for a fake genealogy report, made during a period when the family was allegedly broke. A family law attorney familiar with complex partnership dissolutions weighed in, and their analysis was brutal. This is a gift for Janelle's legal team, they said. When multiple parties invest in shared property, as the Browns did with Coyote Pass, there's a legal expectation of rational decision-making and good faith. Kody's actions, his religious delusions, his favoritism, his spiritual coercion, destroy that foundation completely. The attorney didn't mince words. A judge won't look at Kody's celestial deed. They'll see evidence of coercive control, financial mismanagement, and psychological abuse. That email alone strengthens Janelle's case for a forced buyout exponentially. In plain English, Kody and Robyn think they're playing chess with God, but Janelle's playing poker with a royal flush. Every delusional email, every tearful vision, every demand for fealty to Prophet Jedediah Calloway. It's another card in her winning hand. She can now walk into court and say, "Your Honor, I cannot maintain a business partnership with a man who believes his wife's imaginary ancestor gives him the right to nullify my property claims." And the law will agree. A judge won't see a profit, they'll see a liability. A man unfit to manage family property. A man whose delusions have finally turned against him. Their spiritual gaslighting has become Janelle's legal leverage. Their prophecy has become their undoing. Their divine plan has become a self-authored confession of fraud. And make no mistake, this is not just a legal reckoning. This is karmic. Kody's obsession with Robyn's fabricated bloodline was the final loyalty test. And every original wife, every child with an independent thought, has failed it. Because to remain in his kingdom, they must erase themselves. Christine, Janelle, Mary, and their children would have to accept that their decades of sacrifice were merely a prelude to the arrival of Robyn, the so-called true queen chosen by heaven. The emotional cost? Catastrophic. The damage? Irreversible. Imagine the rest of the family's reaction. Peyton, brutally honest as always, will mock the entire charade. Leon, who spent years pursuing truth and authenticity, will call it what it is. Manipulation dressed as revelation. And the others? They're done. They're gone. The chasm between Kody and the rest of the Brown family isn't just a distance anymore. It's a galaxy. Kody and Robyn are now the self-crowned king and queen of their private kingdom, sealed off in a fortress of prophecy, surrounded by their own children, grooming them to carry on the Calloway Brown dynasty. Meanwhile, the rest of the family, the OG wives and their children, are thriving in the real world. They're building lives founded on authenticity, work, and mutual respect, not delusions and divine entitlement. This Coyote Pass conflict isn't just a dispute. It's the final battle in a spiritual Cold War. And it has exposed Kody and Robyn for what they truly are, not builders of a celestial kingdom, but demolition experts. They have taken a once loving, complicated family and reduced it to rubble, piece by piece, until all that's left is their reflection in the still water of a man-made pond. On land, they tried to steal with a ghost story. The reckoning isn't just coming. It's already here. Janelle will get her money. Christine is living her best life. Mary has finally found peace. And Kody and Robyn? they'll be left exactly where they always wanted to be, alone, together, in their holy land. The king and queen of a kingdom of two. So there you have it, the unbelievable, unhinged, and ultimately self-destructive saga of the spiritual gaslighting of Coyote Pass. A $25,000 fairy tale, a lost prophet, a celestial deed, and a desperate attempt to weaponize faith itself for control. It's not just a reality show twist. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when faith becomes a weapon and love becomes leverage. So tell me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how insane is this? And better yet, drop your best theory in the comments. Who's Robyn's next ancestor going to be? Queen Victoria? Cleopatra? Maybe Eve herself? Because at this point, nothing would surprise me anymore. Nothing would surprise me anymore. And before we dive any deeper into the madness, don't forget to subscribe, because what's happening behind the gates of Coyote Pass isn't just drama. It's a descent into spiritual delusion. According to sources close to the family, people who are literally risking their relationships to expose this, what happened next was beyond comprehension. Faced with public backlash, growing suspicion from the older children, and Janelle's stone-cold silence, Kody and Robyn decided to take their narrative to the next level. Words apparently were no longer enough. They needed a show of faith, or rather a performance for the ages. A divine spectacle. So, under the pale light of a full moon with Mary, Solomon, Ariella, and a few others reluctantly in tow, Kody and Robyn staged what insiders have called a consecration ritual on the Coyote Pass property itself. Now let me be clear, this wasn't just a family prayer circle. This was theater, religious cosplay, a fever dream brought to life. Kody, draped in what he reportedly calls his prophetic robes, which are really just a beige linen tunic he bought from an artisan shop, led the group to the pond. In his hand was a gnarled wooden stick, now christened the Rod of Jedediah. Robyn followed behind him, dressed head to toe in white, tears streaming down her face as she clutched that $25,000 leather-bound ancestry book like a holy relic. Their children carried a bowl of pond water. Kody declared he would bless it, that it would become the covenant water of the new Zion. He then anointed Robyn and the children, calling them the first fruits of the covenant. It was part Mormon temple ritual, part pioneer fantasy, and part pure Kody Brown theater. Then came the truly chilling part. They walked to the boundary line, the edge of Janelle's lot. There, Kody took his so-called Rod of Jedediah, dragged it across the dirt, and declared in full prophetic voice, "Thus far, and no farther shall the spirit of Babylon encroach upon the land of the covenant. We seal this boundary against all temporal claims and worldly legalities." In other words, he performed a spiritual exorcism of Janelle's legal rights. But it didn't stop there. When they reached Christine's old section of land, Robyn knelt, pulled a small black stone from her pocket, and tearfully announced that she had found Jedediah's original seer stone. She said the stone vibrated with prophecy, and that it revealed this exact plot was destined to become their family temple. No one who had broken the family covenant, meaning Christine, would ever be allowed to step foot there again. And what about Mary? She stood in the background like a shadow, arms crossed, face blank, a silent hostage to a fantasy she didn't believe in but didn't dare interrupt. That night, Kody and Robyn didn't just draw a line in the dirt. They drew one in reality itself. They were no longer telling a story, they were living inside it. Their own religion, their own relics, their own sacred ground. But while Kody and Robyn played prophets under the moonlight, Janelle Brown was preparing for war under the sun. Because Janelle understands something Kody never has. Power doesn't come from rituals. It comes from receipts. When word of the consecration reached her, Janelle didn't see spirituality. She saw intimidation. She saw a public act meant to erase her claim and humiliate her family. That was the moment she snapped. Sources confirm that Janelle, through her attorney, issued a formal cease and desist and demand letter, the first legal cannon fired in what could become the Brown family's final war. And this wasn't some emotional rant. It was a cold, surgical strike, written by professionals who know exactly how to dismantle a false prophet. The letter begins by laying out the facts. Kody and Janelle are equal partners in Dabsarch Entertainment LLC, the company that holds title to Coyote Pass. Then, with precision, it documents every financial contribution Janelle has made, the down payments, the mortgage installments, the taxes, the infrastructure costs. There's no ambiguity, no spiritual loopholes, just hard numbers. Then comes the hammer. The letter accuses Kody Brown of breach of fiduciary duty, a devastating legal term meaning he violated his financial obligations to his partner. By using religion to undermine her ownership, by devaluing her share, and by weaponizing faith as coercion, Kody has crossed into legal territory even a prophet can't pray his way out of. The letter references the leaked email, the public statements, and yes, even the bizarre moonlit ritual as part of a coordinated effort to defraud Janelle of her investment. And in one chilling line, the attorney makes it clear, Kody's ancestral revelations have no bearing on any legal contract. They are, in the eyes of the law, nothing more than a bad faith attempt to enrich Robyn Brown at Janelle's expense. The letter ends with one line that could echo through courtrooms soon. Cease all interference or face immediate legal remedy. The war for Coyote Pass has officially begun. And this time, Kody's faith won't save him. Kody's faith won't save him. Tonight's story takes us deeper into the madness than ever before. Because what happened on Coyote Pass last week wasn't just strange, it was chilling. It was the moment Kody and Robyn Brown crossed a line that can never be uncrossed. Our sources, and let's be clear, these are people who are risking everything, describe a night that felt more like a cult ritual than a family gathering. They say Kody and Robyn decided that words, manipulation, and spiritual guilt weren't enough anymore. No, this time they wanted something permanent, something that, in their minds, would make their delusion untouchable, even in the eyes of a court. So under the pale glow of a full moon, Kody and Robyn gathered their remaining followers, Mary, Solomon, Ariella, and marched them out to the pond at Coyote Pass. It was there that Kody declared they would consecrate the land. Not legally, spiritually. He arrived dressed in a beige linen robe he now calls his prophetic tunic, gripping a crooked walking stick he calls the rod of Jedediah. Robyn was cloaked in white, clutching that oversized leather-bound book of her supposed ancestry like it was scripture. Her tears glistened in the moonlight as if she truly believed she was fulfilling some divine destiny. Their children carried a bowl of pond water, and Kody, eyes wild with conviction, declared it holy. He dipped his fingers into the bowl, tracing crosses of mud and water onto Robyn's forehead, whispering that she was the first fruit of the new Zion. But it didn't stop there. Kody walked the perimeter of the entire property, sprinkling water as he went, muttering half-scriptural, half-invented incantations, commanding the spirits of contention and secularism to depart. And when he reached the edge of Janelle's lot, that's when this bizarre ceremony turned dark. Witnesses say Kody stopped, slammed the rod of Jedediah into the ground, and drew a line in the dirt. His voice shook as he shouted, "Thus far, and no farther shall the spirit of Babylon encroach upon the land of the covenant." In that moment, he declared war on Janelle's right to her own land. It was a spiritual exorcism, not of demons, but of Janelle herself. Then Robyn stepped forward, trembling, claiming she had found a seer stone by the pond, guided, she said, by the spirit of Jedediah. Through tears, she declared that this exact plot was meant to be the site of their future family temple, a place so holy that Christine, Janelle, or anyone who had broken the covenant would never be allowed to set foot again. And Mary? Mary stood at the back, arms crossed, silent, empty. Our source says she looked like a hostage, trapped in a ritual she didn't believe in but didn't dare defy. This was it. The moment Kody and Robyn fully divorced themselves from reality. They had created their own religion, their own relics, their own mythology, all to justify their control. But while Kody and Robyn were playing prophets in the moonlight, Janelle was wide awake in daylight, calm, strategic, and furious. Because when her children told her what happened that night, she didn't see a spiritual ceremony. She saw a threat, a declaration of intent, an attempt to erase her legal rights through performative faith. That was her breaking point. For months, she had tolerated the manipulation, the favoritism, the endless spiritual guilt trips. But this was an act of war. So Janelle did what Kody never expected her to do. She called her lawyer. Within days, a formal legal notice was delivered to Kody and Robyn Brown. Not a warning, not a conversation. A cease and desist. The letter was cold, precise, and devastating. It began by recognizing Kody and Janelle as equal partners in Dabsarch Entertainment LLC, the company that legally owns the Coyote Pass property. It listed every figure, every receipt, every dollar Janelle had ever paid, from down payments to taxes to infrastructure. It left no room for denial. And then, the hammer fell. The letter accused Kody Brown of breach of fiduciary duty. That's not spiritual language. That's legal firepower. It means that as a managing partner, Kody was legally bound to act in the best financial interest of all parties. Instead, he had acted on delusion, using personal religious fantasies to disenfranchise Janelle, to devalue her share and to seize control of the land. The letter quoted his infamous email, cited witness statements, and even referenced the so-called consecration ceremony, describing it as an act of coercive intimidation meant to defraud a co-owner. In plain English, it called him out for trying to steal property using fake prophecy. It ended with one final line, a non-negotiable demand that Kody Brown cease all religious claims over Janelle's legally protected land, or face immediate civil action. For years, Kody thought he could use faith as his shield, but now that shield is cracking. The law is coming, and it doesn't bend to divine revelation, because in the eyes of the court, there is no rod of Jedediah, no seer stone, no celestial deed. There's only ownership, partnership, and accountability, and in that reality, Janelle Brown holds all the cards.